Hello and welcome back to Shatter Our Souls with Novaria. Today, we are tackling the Elite Cup 100cc without the use of items. And at this point, it's 2 down, 6 to go. And overall, 100cc is going okay. I definitely have seen a lot more oopses and situational problems that have cropped up during the course of the 100cc compared to 50cc, which is absolutely the point. The problem with 100cc that I'm running into, more than anything, is the fact that I keep randomly getting bikes that I personally wouldn't use on a regular basis as my primary vehicles for these runs. As this is now the second time in 3 cups that I've gotten an inside drift bike, something that I am not accustomed to. And you're gonna see the absolute chaos that comes along with that. Now, while I was kind of looking into this and digging into what it was that a itemless run of Mario Kart would look like, I figured there was a few things that were gonna happen. Number one, I was gonna get hit by a lot of shots. Blue shells were an inevitability, and it didn't matter who my opponents were, I was going to have to find a way to out-finesse, out-drive my opponents, treat it like Need for Speed Most Wanted, where everything came down to how well I could corner and keep the race as tight, keep good racing lines as possible. And to a large degree, I think that's kind of the point of this run, is just consistency. Keeping everything as close as possible and really digging into it. But the thing is that when it comes to Mario Kart's system, it's designed with enough chaos and randomness that it's really difficult to say, oh yeah, we can do this in one go. Because reality is that any individual track, if you get lucky enough, you can beat without using any items. 100%. First place in some capacity. But beating every single cup from start to finish without the use of items and getting a gold medal, not necessarily first place, but a gold trophy for it, that's an entirely different animal. That is an entirely different beast of a challenge to go into. So that's kind of why this itemless run started to begin with. Anywho, we're on to track number 2, and GBA's Bowser's Castle, especially with this particular vehicle, is the bane of my existence. Partially because, due to the fact that I'm used to outside drift, I'm gonna take a lot of corners a little sharp here. Just a tap. Actually, this first lap wasn't all that bad, but as time went on, everything kind of just started falling apart as I was getting a little full of myself throughout this run. Just feeling, oh yeah, I've got this. I know how to drive a bike. That's fine. Oh, hit the dirt patch. No big deal. I've got this. Womp gets out of the way and headfirst into a wall. So that's one bomb. No big deal. We can recover from that. Couple wheelies later and we're good to go. Through the dirt patch. Yeah, okay. We're fine. Or so I thought to myself. But reality is that this kind of terrifies me for what... Oh, come on. I was in second place, first and foremost. But it kind of terrifies me for what 150 and mirror mode are going to look like. Because items are already becoming significantly more frequent. Getting carted or in bad situations is just part and parcel of the game. And the other part or problem that I'm going to run into is that, generally speaking, while competitively the heavy hitters are the bikes, I generally do not enjoy driving the bikes. I tend to stick more to karts to begin with. So for me, breaking my regular patterns and going with random character, etc., as I have done, will mean that I'll be running this with a little bit more of a we're not really sure what I'm going to be getting into later on. And that's probably for the best, if I'm being honest. Sticking to the same thing time after time after time isn't as fun or enjoyable for most individuals. So that's why I'm sticking to the random everything, random character, random kart. Because reality is, I want to experience more of Mario Kart than what I previously have. If this were me doing what I would ordinarily do, I'd be dry bones with the Blue Falcon. And I remember my little brother and I, back in the day, the pair of us would sit down and we would play Mario Kart, start to finish, all 32 tracks in one sitting, which was, at the time, it seemed Herculean. And now with the 96-ish tracks of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I think that's kind of been absolutely demolished. But the thing is that I was always using not Bowser Jr., Dry Bones and the Blue Falcon, because it was the black version of the Blue Falcon, which I thought was the coolest looking. And my little brother always stuck to the Quacker with, I believe it was Baby Mario. But the two of us used to play Mario Kart for hours on end just to see how far could we actually get into this without too much of an issue. And reality was is that I don't think we ever actually lost a cup when the pair of us were playing together. At least not when we did the 32 cup run, because we were having a blast with it, and the AI wasn't exactly the strongest in those. And we were also on team mode, and the pair of us together were a force to be reckoned with. Anywho, we're on to the third track, and honestly, now that we're on to the third track, second and third place both have, I think it was a total of 20 points right now, meaning I am significantly ahead of virtually every other opponent right now. About 10 points ahead, which is 2/3 of a full track, which means I might be able, assuming that I get the perfect score 15 points here, to be able to beat or come in last place on the fourth track and technically have a safety net of I'm perfectly fine. I don't want to have to use that, but theoretically that is a possibility. DK Jungle Parkway is one of the tracks that, when I played it on the N64, it was a lot more charming than the version I see now. Don't get me wrong, the remastered, upgraded version that you see here is a huge step up in terms of graphics and really showcasing what the design idea was for this track, but it's still not quite where I think the devs would have originally wanted the track to be. And I think that's both a good and bad thing. I believe that part of the draw of older games these days is that there is beauty in the simplicity. You don't necessarily need the most advanced graphics system to allow for a adventure of magnificent proportions. And you don't need to sit around and waste your time with tracks that don't look the way you would like. As a child of the 90s, I've always been the type who understands and acknowledges that every single player has their preferences. And maybe it's just me, but graphical fidelity has never been a core of why I play games. I'm not looking for the fanciest new game out there that has every single pixel looking absolutely stunning and perfect to the naked eye. Rather, I play games because I like playing games. Playing a racing game does not have to be as jaw-droppingly gorgeous as some people might make it out to be. Because where the graphics let up, your imagination tended to take over. Older games like Mario Kart Double Dash, Mario Kart Wii. Wii looks somewhat better than Mario Kart Double Dash. I think most would agree with me. But it's not why I played Wii or Double Dash over one or the other. In fact, Double Dash was the one that I tended to play more often. Mario Kart 8 is the one I played most often because by the time I had gotten it, the Wii U and subsequently the Switch became the primary systems that I used for such a game. And so I was able to play the game on a, at the time, more accessible system to it. This is all to say, there's nothing stopping you from playing a game if it doesn't look 100%. Rather, I think we need to, in the grand scheme of things, take what we have and acknowledge that building a video game is incredibly hard. And I wish that a lot of people could actually see video games as more than just a collections of pixels. That a game that is not as well defined is perfectly fine. Recently, I've been seeing people talk about Pokemon Legends ZA. And I personally don't have any issue with how it looks, but the issue that I'm running into that I see is that a lot of people are saying it looks like a phone game from 2020. And maybe it does. But I want to ask the question, well, why would it look like that? You gotta realize that the amount of time, energy, and effort that goes into these is absolutely ludicrous. And I don't necessarily think that these games are intended to be scrutinized with that level of visual, what's the word, scrutiny? It's meant to be played and enjoyed for what it is. And reality is, yes, is it a little bit of a cop-out? Sure. Do they still have good, is it still good gameplay? Sure. Could they have spent more time on graphics? Perhaps. But I would much rather a game that runs smooth and has a good set of core fundamental systems in place over a game that is intended to be this graphical masterpiece that falls apart every time you try to play it. That's my perspective. And maybe my perspective is wrong. But who knows? What I do know is that it is a solid 40 points in the bank. Sorry, 60 points in the bank. Second place was Donkey Kong with 44, and Waluigi struck a gold with 38 points. Altogether, we are in the clear with the Mario Kart Wii's Leaf Cup completed. The question now is, will the Lightning Cup fare any better, or will it finally be the one that serves me my just desserts? Let me know down in the comments below whether you think it's going to happen. While you're there, I would love if you left a like and possibly a subscribe. That's all for now. Until next week, I hope you have a good one.